Hey guys, Lindsay here.
And Marissa.
So we just a couple days ago got back, as you saw, from our vagabonding excursion. We had to call it off slightly early. I had a meeting, and you remember in like the second or third day when Marissa had her dizzy spells? So it never completely went away. Like the actual motion sickness, I think part of it went away, right? But then, so we got back, and then she made an appointment with their doctor. Got in, and now there's like 4 more appointments. So it's probably good that we came back.
Yeah.
So we just kind of, like, you know, during our trip, we didn't actually get a chance to talk about the things we really liked about our trip, things that we would tweak about our van, and then just interesting things that we learned about or just went and saw in a greater societal context and historical.
We didn't have
we're
time
nerds
to process. Well, I think we documented the trip and where we went, but we weren't able to process like a lot of the contradictions or problems with those places that we went. And we wanted to do that so that, you know, we weren't just like going and road tripping and not thinking. And we did a lot of thinking on this trip. I think just the trip in general, before we even left, it was apparent that, you know, the West was won through manifest destiny and killing off all of the Indians and just taking land for ourselves and feeling like it was a God-given right. And so just the process of going out west is a difficult one.
Yeah, I would definitely say that before we even started and we didn't have a big plan, but
we had a vague plan
of like, oh, should we do this, should we not do this, should we try and do this, since we're here, why not? And then, so for a concrete example would be Mount Rushmore, right? So we were in South Dakota, pretty near Mount Rushmore, and everyone was like, oh, you should, are you going to go see it? Did you see it already? Blah, blah, blah. And so that was one thing that we decided to bypass on. Before we even took the trip.
The Black Hills, having spent time with Native people in South Dakota, the Black Hills for a lot of Native people, not just the Plains Indians, the Black Hills are an origin point, like, for their people. And it's a very spiritual point. And so I wasn't interested in, I don't even know if it costs any money, but I was like not interested in participating in that because I feel like that's a really awful thing to do, is to carve these white guys who sanctioned killing of all Native people, essentially wiping them out, genocide, into their like very spiritual, very like important part of their origin story. Like, I think that's a real bitch move. We did, though, go to Crazy Horse, which is a really also very interesting dichotomous thing, because it's like this white family, you know, was approached by the Native people, the Lakota people, to make this monument, to carve it. And so, you know, the extraordinary things to which he did start this process were amazing.
And it's carrying on.
Through the family, it's carrying on. And so that's really interesting. But then, and they have like an enormous amount of Native relics and like, it's like a museum in that it's history, but then you also have the history of this white family simultaneously. And so that's really strange too. And it doesn't really feel like, I mean, it's sanctioned and approved by all the tribal councils, the 7 Fires, blah, blah. But I think, and I know that Native people in general have a very fraught relationship with Crazy Horse. I mean, some people believe that that's not even an image of Crazy Horse because he never let his picture be taken. And so we actually have no images of Crazy Horse. Not to mention the fact that his name was not Crazy Horse, right? There was a very, very good Native person who was in a certain part of the museum they have there who did a long history with us. So even that in itself is like a white interpretation of this Native person. And so there are all sorts of weird things, but I felt much better going to Crazy Horse than I did Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.